Welcome, friends, to the Life Switch Show. My guest today is Stuart Rawlins, and we're going to be talking about Hardship to Freedom, a personal journey of mental health. And for anyone sitting back there thinking, is Adam's background just getting greener and greener? Yes, you're absolutely right. Now, before we begin, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live, plus when we add any new content to our channels. Also, if you're on Facebook catching this, do not forget to like my Facebook page, Adam Kavalik, Business Mindset Coach. Now, let's get to it. All right, as I said, my friend Stuart Rawlins is going to join the show very shortly. I'm going to give a very brief introduction so that everybody can catch up with this guy. So, Stuart, an international spy, I was going to say, but I realized no, it's an international tax specialist and life coach. The only guy I know with a 2-word business plan: have fun. So a big welcome to my friend, my colleague and fellow coach, Stuart Rawlins.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Stu. Did you notice I managed to get the business plan thing in there?
Yeah, that's new, hot off the press. Yeah. I also love the fact that you got the plants getting bigger and bigger in there as well.
Yeah. Because someone actually told me yesterday, like, are they growing? And yeah, of course they're growing. I hope they are, because I'm watering them as well, like, because they're like, I don't know, ferns, is it? You call them ferns?
Yeah. I think the one on your right is a fern, I think. I'm not a gardener, I must admit.
Well, they drink a lot of water, I can tell you that. So, and the other one there, I don't know, actually, this is going to be a special episode. Nobody knows this, but that's a passion fruit.
Okay,
Fruit plant. And why is it a passion fruit plant? Because, hey, I'm all about passion. So I kind of I hope someone gets that. Nobody ever got it, so I had to come out and just say it. So
you need like the little passion fruit. You need a passion fruit.
I'm really trying, but I don't think it likes being indoors. So maybe I need to put it somewhere else.
Yeah. You need to swap it in for a picture. Really, I'm not so subtle with mine.
Precisely. Well, I do love that, and it's so nicely placed. The heart is just touching the top of your head. I think it's brilliant. Is there a story behind that picture, though?
It's a Brazilian artist, actually. He's a Brazilian artist. I think he lives in Miami, or he certainly lives in America now. But he's a guy called Romero Brito. And I just love the color. And it's called Big Heart, for obvious reasons. And I believe it's about the love that kids have for their parents, like the free kind of endless love for their parents. And that kind of speaks to me now, just the endless love, just for life and just for fun and just everything. It really appealed to me when I saw it. So I was like, yeah, and I love the color. I love the color.
Yeah, I definitely like it. I mean, every time I've seen it, I think it's just brilliant. It's definitely something that I'm not big on pictures. Like this one is not mine. It just came with the apartment. I just keep it because I don't want to upset the feng shui. But if I were to pick out a painting or a picture, I think something like yours is something that I'd definitely go for. I think it's wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It was either that or I've got a load of geek stuff around the house, like the Guardians of the Galaxy posters and things.
Oh, yeah. You like Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes, I do like the Guardians of the Galaxy. I quite like. To be honest, I was going to say I'll watch anything and everything, but that's not necessarily true. But I do like the geek stuff.
Yeah, me too. Actually, well, especially superheroes in general. I just fancy that quite a bit.
Yeah. I grew up on Spider-Man. I was going to say Spaceman, but that's not a superhero. But no, Spider-Man, Superman. I've got a big statuette actually of Superman downstairs actually.
Yeah?
I'll freely admit that on here. Yeah, I have that, yeah.
That's cool. You have to show me a picture at one time. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So, for anyone joining live, because, hey, we are live. For anyone joining live on YouTube or from Facebook, if you leave comments in the comment sections below this video, That way, those comments can be pulled into this live stream. So if you've got questions, you've got feedback, you've got things you want to share with me or Stu, feel free to do so. And if you're joining from somewhere else in the world right now, please also let us know where from. It's always nice to know where the audience are. And that's kind of all I wanted to say on that. Stu, although I did give you a very brief, very small introduction, do you want to add something to that? Do you want to share some more background stories about you and who you are, what you do and stuff?
I can do. I mean, just I don't know how much detail you want or viewers need, I guess. But Stuart Rawlins. My day job is for civil service. An international tax specialist, not a spy.
Not a spy, no.
Not a spy, unfortunately. I also coach. I've just started coaching actually in HMRC in the government. I'm also a coach outside. I've been coaching for a little over a year, so I'm still a fairly new coach. I'm laughing because that's kind of not really telling the full story, I guess, as the title of the show says, from hardship to freedom. I can go into that now. I can go. Yeah, you want? Okay. So.
I still. Let me just say something. I kind of want to share this. I met you, Stu, because I had the honor to meet you face to face in one of. It was an event put together by a coach that both you and I worked with. So Anchor's Jane, and I instantly connected with you. I think you're a marvelous, fantastic guy. And when you say I've been coaching for a little bit, over a year. That might be true, and at the same time, I'm thinking you've probably been doing this for way longer than that. Just based off of when we met on the Accelerate event and all of that. You're so adamant. I'm not sure that's the right word, but you're like dedicated to your own personal growth and your own personal journey, and I find that super, super impressive. The commitment that I guess you've made to yourself to be on that journey and, to seek out people to work with and to go where you've never gone before. I just find that super impressive.
Yeah. No, sorry. I just thought I was a Star Trek reference.
Yeah, me too. I thought I'd dial it down a bit. Geek warning.
I know. Yeah. That's too, we shouldn't tone it down. I don't like
we should turn it up.
Yep. Yeah. You're exactly right. Actually, I came to personal development 5 years ago, so I'm not that. I haven't been in it. I'm in 34. I haven't been in it that long. 5 years. I can't even remember the year now. It's 21. So yeah, 2016 is kind of when I kind of like took the first steps in. I think it was like at the end of the year, and that's when I met Ankush, and I met one of his clients who kind of intrigued or piqued my interest into personal development. But yeah, I think I kind of roughly calculate, but I reckon I've probably done about 3,500 hours over the last like 4 or 5 years on myself and on business coaching as well. That's just a self-development.
Just repeat that again, because that's an amazing number. How many hours?
I think I calculate it roughly 2 hours a day for every day, pretty much. Like I generally don't take days off, and if people are watching, take days off from personal experience. But it's I think some days I've done a lot more than that. So some days I do take some days off. But yeah, some days, especially if I get what I say a bee in my bonnet about something, I could do like 12 hours a day or something, just like.
What's an example of you spending maybe 2 hours on yourself, your personal growth journey? What's an example of that?
It's slightly different now to where it was maybe even a year ago. I guess nowadays, my usual routine is I kind of I listen to a guy called Sydney Banks. I listen to him probably for an hour and a half a day. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the self-development that I do now, a lot of the stuff that I see now, because I've done so much self-development and my grounding in what I do is quite good, comparatively. I I tend to learn from everything now. Like all like life examples, but all things that kind of happen and people I talk to, I tend to learn things from them, or it triggers kind of like insight, what I call insights, like kind of like flashes, and I'm like, oh, so yeah, I don't do as much anymore. I do the Sid Banks stuff because it kind of, for me, it's, I guess, to kind of give an example, it's like something you like you get the feeling from it rather than listening to the words per se, because that's where I kind of, when I get a good feeling, it's kind of signifying to me you're on the right path, you're doing good, you're kind of the middle of the motorway, you're not hitting the bumpers or anything. So yeah, it's kind of like meditation kind of stuff for me. But then, I mean, there's a book next to me called Overcoming Under-Earning by Barbara Stanley, and that's a really good book. So that's a bit more obviously about money and stuff like that, and how to shine a light, I guess, on beliefs, deep beliefs that I've got, or anyone's got who reads it, about money. So yeah, those are the kind of things I do. I've got the Prosperous Coach next to me as well, which is a very good book. But yeah, those are the kind of things I do now. I don't do a lot more of my personal development now is apart from the stuff, the Sid Bank stuff, and learning obviously from everyone and every day. But it's more about business and kind of just highlighting the limiting beliefs that I've got going deep, which then create the reality that I live out of. So yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of my, I mean, obviously, as well as I do a civil service job, I work very hard at that. Just in case that my colleagues are watching.
Yeah, exactly. Just putting it out there. Disclaimer.
Yeah. So that's kind of my average kind of stuff. But yeah, and anything Ankush sends me, I tend to watch.
Well,
because I trust him.
I said that, right? That I'm so impressed by your dedication to this, and now you threw those numbers out there. I think it just really, how do you say that in English? It goes to show. Is that how you say it? Like kind of like it goes to show that you are really dedicated to this journey of your own, and because it's like the hours that you've put in, and as you said, maybe that's an average 2 hours a day. There are going to be days where it's way more, and I think that is impressive. Now, we might come back to Sid Banks and stuff like this, because I find that very interesting as well. And for anyone watching this, might go, who is he listening to for an hour every day? But I kind of want to unpack, go deeper into your own personal story.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because you mentioned that almost 5 years ago you kind of embarked this personal journey of growth. Can you take us back to what happened around that time, or how were things before? How come this personal growth is important?
I guess in all honesty, like even a couple of weeks ago, I would have probably just mentioned 5 years ago, I had a really bad breakup. I was with my partner for 8 years. The last 2 years were distant because she had to go back to Russia. And that was quite difficult, obviously, and not just because the distance, but the expense of getting there and only being able to see her like once a month and stuff like that. And yeah, that was really, really difficult. But I think to go a bit further back, and I'm not going to give you my whole life story because that would take ages, but to kind of give context to the situation, I guess I was quite a solitary child. I had my mum and my sister around. My dad worked all day and lived abroad quite a lot because of his job. He worked in London for a bank, and yeah, I was quite a solitary child. I didn't have too many friends. I had kind of like one or two here or there, but predominantly I was quite insular. So like I had people around me. My mum and my sister were there, but like I was quite insular. Like for most of my teenage years, I was really, really, really insular. I used to play a lot of computer games. I'm sure a lot of parents can resonate with that nowadays. Allow your kids to play computer games. No, I'm just joking. It's but I used that kind of as an escape, really. That, and I read a lot. I read a lot of fantasy books, and I used it as an escape from my real life. Like I played video games. Well, I do find video games fun actually. So I just want to say that. But yeah, I used to use it for escapism basically, and yeah, I got bullied. I mean, I'll also say I got bullied a lot at school. And to give a bit further context, I wasn't always this thin. I used to, at my heaviest, I was about 16.5 stone. I guess that's about 105 kilograms or something. I don't know what it is in pounds. So for anyone who needs that, then have to Google it. But yeah, I used to weigh quite a lot. So I used to get bullied quite a lot throughout school, throughout my teenage years. And I will freely admit, actually, I can't really remember a lot of my childhood. I don't know how normal that is for people, but when I talked about with my ex, it wasn't necessarily normal because she could remember everything. But yeah, I think it was quite a difficult time for me because I was for a lot of that period I was on my own, getting bullied, and yeah, that kind of culminated in several years or several times where I kind of literally had a knife on my chest, thinking I wish I had the guts to end it, to kill myself basically. That is the worst I was as a child, and I still got. I didn't self-harm that much, but I still got the scars on my shoulder. But yeah, that's kind of how things were for me back then. And I was overweight because I used to eat a lot to try and make myself feel better. Like chocolate, sugar, Weetabix. And I'd just pour sugar and sugar on it just to try and make myself feel better, which obviously piled on the pounds and wasn't good for my health, full stop, because obviously the impact that has on your gut is just tremendous. And then obviously gut-brain connection, that affects my brain as well. But yeah, I mean, to kind of wrap up around my childhood, I fell out with my friends or around I was 16. So I was alone at school for 2 years. So I didn't have any friends at all at school for 2 years. So yeah, I literally sat in the library pretty much reading the whole time. And that was quite a difficult time for me as well. But yeah, fortunately, I left and went to university, and I remember making a decision. I honestly remember this. It's basically like, that wasn't who I was at school. I'm going to become who I was. And I will also caveat very heavily that all throughout that time, there's no way that my mum or my sister could have told what was going on, really, because I was such a good actor, to be honest. I was such a good actor. There's no way that they could have really told and could have done anything really. You did joke about being a spy, but there's a lot of my times I did watch James Bond and stuff, and I was, and I was also as a very young youth. I remember vowing to myself to stop lying because I was a very good liar. I was very good and believable lying. So I'm just saying this to give context, because I know a lot of people go, "Oh, how did no one know?" and stuff like that. Well, it's because I was a very good actor. I could hide it, and yeah, I was just extremely good at kind of, I don't know, portraying that kind of mask, the visage. I like that word, but yeah, portraying that to other people. And yeah, I mean, I had some very good, kind of just fast forward, but I had some very good years at university where I met Ravi. I think Ravi is watching.
Yeah, he's joining.
Hi, Ravi. And yeah, actually, it's funny because I mentioned Ravi, but actually, I would say Ravi was one of the first people to give me advice. Funny enough, around women, and with my ex-girlfriend, who I then got with at university, and we were together for 8 years. But giving context to that, I mean, this all kind of gives context and leads into each other. But and anyone who has a partner, I guess, would kind of know the intimacy and the closeness. But bearing in mind that I'd never had that kind of thing before, we were infinitely closer. It's the closest relationship I've ever had. And yeah, so then we literally lived in the same room, and lived on top of each other, and we got on amazingly. Hardly ever had fights. Although I will say that usually we just went quiet both if we were angry, which maybe helped. But yeah, then obviously she had to go back to Moscow, and then that kind of culminated in I started having sleeping issues because of the stress. Because at that time, I was also going through an accelerated training program for the civil service for HMRC, and a lot of exams, a lot of studying. So yeah, I was having to go through that, and also that kind of like lengthened breakup. So the process was kind of when finally she ended it. Because I was a totally different person back then. It's just insane thinking about it. But yeah, when that finally ended, I was depression. I mean, I had anxiety, stress, OCD. I had a bit of OCD when I was a kid, like shutting the windows 4 times for whatever reason, and washing my hands, which actually has come in real use like the last year. Having a washing hands OCD, because obviously it's not an OCD anymore. Don't worry, it's more just care. But yeah, I was really struggling, and I was literally sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night every day for probably 3 or 4 years, whilst doing a full-time job, attempting to do a full-time job, and trying to kind of actually, I guess, well, I was living, but kind of trying actually to be something I wasn't. Superman. It's just insane. And also, I'm really laughing at this, like looking back at it, to be honest, because also I moved house. So I live in the kind of site I am at the moment. I moved house, bought my first house. I joined the Royal Navy Reserves. And I was going through the officer training program for 2 years as well. So it was like, yeah, all of this going on at the same time, while sleeping like 3 or 4 hours a night.
Yeah.
And I'm sure. Oh yeah, and I had 2 jobs at work. I didn't just have my I had 2 jobs, not coaching, but I was doing research and development as well as corporation tax. So there were just 2 jobs really for one person. So I had all of this going on, and whilst I was going through depression, insomnia, and everything else. But not many people couldn't really tell, like, because again, I was such a good actor that I could. And this is kind of, I mean, this is a lot of things I hear and read, is that a lot of people, they just don't know what their family or whoever are going through, because people are just so good actors. They're so good at presenting a I'm okay kind of visage or image. That is, sometimes it's very difficult to tell. I mean, obviously, if someone suddenly changes, then obviously that's kind of like a key. It might be a key kind of indicator. But yeah, it's very, for me, I don't think anyone would have been able to tell. And when I was quite open and honest about it, when I started doing development and I started not caring as much, people were really surprised. They were like, "Oh, but you're always joking." Yeah, just, and I have a lot more fun now. But back then, it's kind of similar, but on maybe a toned down level, for obvious reasons. But yeah, it was. I think it was, and the more I opened up at work, people go, "Oh yeah, I had that as well. I had that as well. I had that. I had this, and I had that as well." So that kind of, I guess, that kind of gives the whole context to my mental health and my physical health, because obviously, if you have all those stress issues, sleeping issues, then your body obviously can't recuperate and regenerate every day. Not to mention the impacts it'll have on your brain. So yeah, I mean, like, as we speak now, today, I am a lot better, even than I was last year. So I still have gut issues, because gut issues are very, very interlinked with stress and lack of sleep. And then obviously the gut has an impact, direct link by the vagus nerve with the brain, which will then have brain fog. It can give brain fog. I used to have a lot of brain fog problems, which if you're an intellectual person like I am, I like to admit I am, it was a very big problem for me. I had such a massive kind of struggle with that, because it meant basically I was reading things, especially at work, law, legislation, and stuff like that. I couldn't understand it. I was like reading it, and I just couldn't understand, like, literally sentences. And I was just getting frustrated. But the problem is the situation. I don't like using the problem word anymore. I'm going to try and keep the situation. The situation was that, yeah, I was just getting more and more frustrated and more stressed, and just like had that whole kind of cycle in my head. But and I was saying this is a massive but. I don't like using the word but either, but it's in this case it is a good but. no euphemisms. I've got to keep this fairly clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, again, Ravi invited me to his brother's wedding, 2016, I think it was. And as any good friend does, they say, yes, I will go to your brother's Indian wedding. And I am glad that I did. I am, like that one moment, Ravi invited me to that wedding has changed my life, like totally and utterly and completely. I mean, as you may be able to tell, because I'm nowhere near depressed as well, as I was. But yeah, interestingly enough, I was actually on that morning, I was kind of, again, I didn't sleep that well the night before. And I was like, I got to drive up to Birmingham. But as a man, I like to classify myself as a man of my word, as any good British person is. Anyone, I was just joking. But it's, yeah, so I was tempted to cancel, but I didn't. Because I said my word, and maybe like a deep kind of, I guess, easier gut feeling, or wisdom, like I call it wisdom, gut feeling, which I did realize the other day. Like I have a lot of gut feelings, and having gut problems is kind of ironic.
There's
But anyway,
definitely something there.
I know, it's kind of funny, really, but yeah, anyway, I went anyway, and I got there, and I got introduced to two gentlemen, Hogne and a guy called Hogne, and a guy called Arthur. I call them Norwegian Arthur because I know two Arthurs, or Norwegian and German Arthur. But yeah, I met Norwegian Arthur, and he would literally talk to me the whole day, and I didn't understand anything he was saying. Probably because obviously I didn't sleep that much, but he was also just talking about his experiences and things like that. But one thing really piqued my interest, and I remember this distinctly, and he told me about his story. And I'm okay to say this because he's told me that I'm okay saying it fast. So if he's changed his mind, it's too late. But yeah, he said to me, his worst, he was depressed as well, and he actually had a gun. And he went to fire the trigger, but there was a 1 in 100,000 chance that, and I can't remember the piece of the gun that he told me. He did tell me, and he'll probably tell me after if he sees this. But there's just a part of it that failed. It's a 1 in 100,000 chance that it failed, and it failed. And then
the gun failed to fire.
Yeah. And then he kind of just then had a thought, oh no, what am I doing? This is not me. After the gun failed. And yeah, that kind of, not the luck necessarily got me intrigued. It was more around wow, this guy was depressed and tried to shoot himself, and now he approaches people, approaches women. I will say women at this point. Women have been my biggest instigators in learning. I will say that. But he seemed a lot freer than obviously I was, and that really intrigued me. And unfortunately, I didn't really talk to Ankush that day because obviously he was busy. He was getting married.
He was getting married.
You've kind of got to give these allowances, haven't you?
Yeah, some space for that.
Yeah. But I think I remember just after the end of the day, kind of going back, and I will also say that we had a jacuzzi and everything. It was pretty cool. I don't think anyone else went, but we went. I went and bought some shorts in town and came back, and we went in the jacuzzi in the hot tub. That was pretty cool. But so yeah, best wedding ever, apart from Ravi's. I'll have to say that because he's watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, I was kind of like, I think Ankush gave me his card or something like that, and I had a look at his website, and he would probably remembers it a lot better than me because obviously sleeping issues and memory, like they kind of go hand in hand really. But I remember Googling videos of Sid Banks, because that's kind of like who Arthur was, I believe, talking about at the time. I can't remember that as visually as him telling the story, but I remember just watching loads and loads of videos about Sid Banks, the three principles. Chip Chipman, actually, who's now my mentor in Canada. I remember watching a video of him and Elsie Spittle, who is also another 3Ps mentor, who lives in the same place as Chip, I believe. And I was just looking at them, and they were just talking. They're having this interview about like the genesis or the origins of the three principles and Sid Banks, and And I was like, wow, they look so calm and happy. And Chip has a good sense of humor as well, and he has like a deep kind of like laugh. I love that, and I was just like, I remember distinctly, and I still remember this like regularly. I remember looking at them, going, "I want that, I want that," and yeah. So I'll admit, and I can't remember the timelines again because of the memory, but I reached out to Ankush, and he kind of sent me draft chapters, I believe, of his book. Which I kind of got intrigued about, and I think I had 2 or 3 conversations with Ankush over I don't know, maybe a month or so, or 2 months maybe, or maybe longer. And he told me about he does these men's immersions. I went on one actually, it's virtual last week, my 6th one actually, and I remember him kind of mentioning it, and at the time, I'm going to cringe this, but at the time I was, I was still depressed and everything, but Ankush was just helping me. Like and what really appealed me to his way of coaching. There's no marketing, nothing, just service, pure and I was going to say unadulterated service to help me, because obviously he wanted to actually help me and it's funny because I remember meeting this girl, Hungarian girl. I went on a few dates with her, and man, I was so clingy, so embarrassing. But I remember this is really bad. But like I remember writing like essays, explaining. I'm so embarrassed by this. It's so funny. But I remember writing. It's okay. I remember writing like where is me and stuff like that. Like anyway, yeah, messages. It's really funny. I laugh at myself now.
Good.
But obviously she got bored of me. And at one point, and actually, like I have to say kudos to her, because she turned around and said to me, "Yeah, you're just too clingy for me." And I just literally kind of went, "Wow, you're right. I am too needy. I am too clingy." And I've always been too needy and too clingy. I literally saw it all the way through my 8-year relationship. I was like, wow, yeah, that's so true. So I literally messaged Ankush straight after she said that and said, "When's your next immersion? I'm coming." And then he rang me like literally after that happened. And then I guess I was going to say the rest is history, but that kind of was just very much the start of my journey, which I'm still ongoing. I will hopefully, touch wood, add. So I guess that's kind of my story into self-development. I haven't been in it that long, only 5 years. And it was I was lucky. It was the first thing that I came to, and I met Ankush. I was so, I don't know. Like I will also add that I did also go to the doctors, and I will caveat this with that I went to the doctor. And he didn't himself know much or anything about mental health at the time, and I kind of mentioned CBT because my mum was a Reiki master, so quite spiritual, and she had a friend who did CBT, and so I asked him, and he didn't know what it was. He didn't know what it was, so he had to sort of I say Google, but search on his internal thing for it, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't think that will help you. I don't think that will help you." And because I'm quite stubborn, to say the least, and I like to say rebrand it as determined. I was like, "Yeah, okay, mate," and I'm going to go anyway. So I paid. I went private and paid my own way, and that actually did help a bit as well. But I did do the talking therapies, and I will, as I said, I want to caveat this very heavily, because if go to your doctors if you're having problems, go to your doctors and follow their advice 100%. It's just my personal experience, which I'm sure has changed now. There are some really good doctors out there that I know who do work for the NHS. But for me back then, talking therapies didn't help. It kind of just actually made it worse. And yeah, it just kind of made it worse. I'm just very aware my light just went off just then.
Yeah.
So I've gone dark.
Is that like one of those? What do you call it?
Well, the light, the USB light. Yeah, so I'll have to plug it in somewhere else. It's, I hope you can see me. It's,
yeah, we can. It's good. It's good. Do you wanna trying to find a place to plug it in? Because you
I
can
can.
do that. It's
Yep.
fine.
Totally professional.
Yeah, well, that's fine. It's a live show. Anything can happen, and everything does happen.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just as
What?
well I locked my cats out the study
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
would be
Because
in.
cats are like magnets to computer screens.
Yeah. They are magnets for trouble. I will say this
Yeah,
for now.
yeah,
Trouble I'm sure it's all their middle names with a capital T.
yeah. We got a great question from Sarah Jones from London. What were your biggest changes you noticed since you started your personal development journey, Stu?
Oh wow, yeah. Actually, you just
That's a
reminded me, Sarah. You just reminded me. I didn't say like yeah, I guess at my worst position when I had depression and all the sleeping issues, I was walking across the street, like not really caring whether a car was coming. And I distinctly remember, and if any of my colleagues at work do watch this, they might know Reading office. There's an office in Reading called Sapphire Plaza. And I was walking over the Kennet, over the bridge, thinking, I was literally looking in the water, and I remember thinking, I wish I couldn't swim. I wish I couldn't swim so I could jump in and drown. And yeah, this is kind of my sense of humor. So I do apologize in advance, but I had kind of a quick thought back after that happened, like after I was walking over the bridge, going, I wish I couldn't swim. I kind of had a just quick thought going, well, you can, so tough. So yeah, it kind of makes me laugh now, but I don't know. I call it my wisdom, my guy kind of like the voice in the back of my head saying you don't really want to do that. So yeah, I'll give the context to this question that Sarah asked, and actually I remember walking into the bathrooms at work, and I also forgot to mention that my uncle died of cancer when I was 8 years old, which really quite affected me as well. And so I always thought I had cancer. So like I get lipomas, like some fatty lumps. So I'm sure myself is having a laugh with me because I get the fatty lumps and think it's cancer or whatever. But I used to think I was dying a lot. It's really sad now saying that, but I was walking in the bathroom, honestly thinking that I had cancer or something. And I remember just going, I don't want to die. I just remember having that thought, I don't want to die, I want to live. And that made a massive change on a lot of things as well. And I guess, yeah, I've heard of similar stories where people have kind of had this similar kind of thing, like that I don't want to die thing. So my biggest change, I would say, in the initial days, it's like just wanting to live, I guess. Like I will say that at a deep level, I did want to live. I did because obviously if I did want to kill myself, then I probably would have done. But I remember like a deep kind of like, nah, it's not going to happen. And yeah, so I guess that's probably one of the biggest changes for me. One of the initial early biggest changes. I think I have to mention it, but it's just one of the other biggest ones for me is just being more myself, like more my jokey self, my fun self, and just being more free, like not caring that much what other people think of me, just being me. Like the old person wouldn't have had this photo in the back of their thing. Oh, it's not professional. It's not this. It's not that. I'll probably be wearing a shirt, like an actual proper like shirt, not just a t-shirt. And whereas now I'm just like, if people like me, then that's cool. If they don't like me, then that's not, like I can't do anything about that, and I'm not going to do anything about it because I like who I am. I really like who I am now. I love my sense of humor. I was saying this the other day on our pre-call chat.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite features about myself. The sense of humor. Actually, it probably is my favorite favorite thing because I make myself laugh more than anyone else. So that's pretty good. But those are the kind of the biggest kind of changes. It's just I don't worry about what people think of me too much, or I don't get affected by the outside events as much as I do. I will say I do still get caught up like multiple times a day. Like if I don't sleep properly and I wake up not feeling very well, I had like an hour kind of being annoyed about it. Not that annoyed, but I was a bit, put off going, I've got my interview with Adam today. I need to be 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are kind of the biggest changes.
Let me highlight that. So the initial big change you experienced, you said, I wanted to live. I didn't want to die. I actually wanted to live. And then the next big change, or there were several changes leading up to it, but then the highlight that you chose to share is I actually like myself. I get to be more of who I am. That is a massive shift from like kind of like, I guess I don't want to die. I guess I want to live, and going to, I actually like myself. I actually enjoy being me. I think, I mean, just could you have imagined being where you are today 5 years from now, 5 years back?
No. No.
And the reason why I'm saying that is obviously because of your journey. And let me just say, it's been 40 minutes and you've shared your story. I'm completely captivated. I think it's such a powerful story. So besides the point that this is a captivating story and it's an amazing journey you're on, but I had James, one of our producers, he came on the show a couple of weeks ago and we talked about mental health in business. It might be me freezing up a bit. I'm getting all excited here.
Too much energy.
Yeah, exactly. So we had James come on and he talked about mental health in business and being an entrepreneur. And he had a very similar, well, I can't say experience, but there was a similar conclusion to like, there's no way that he could have, if someone would have gone back 5 years in his life and said, James, in 5 years, you're going to be doing this is, your life, this and that. Because where he was at that time, like that's absolutely inconceivable. And the Arthur that you mentioned as well with pulling the trigger and realizing afterwards, luckily that the gun didn't fire and he realized, I don't want this. Well, good thing it didn't fire, because otherwise you would have had a permanent solution to a very temporary problem or temporary situation, right? So it just, I find that so impressive, your story and some of the stories that I've been able to share on this show in the past. It's amazing.
Yeah.
We got a question a follow-up question from Sarah, I guess. Do you still feel depressed or anxious sometimes, or is it completely gone? I'm so curious, is it possible to get rid of it completely?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's easy for me to say that now, but it wasn't easy when I was going through it. I will say, yeah. For me, the depression, it kind of what helped me get out of the depression actually was not only what Ankush was telling me and coaching me on, but it was around kind of like my experience, how we experience the outside world via our thinking in the moment. And actually, what really kind of like, again, it was kind of like the girl telling me I was needy and clingy, kind of that click. I was listening to a owner-victim audio by Steve Chandler. And there's a funny story about that. But I heard it. I really heard it. Like that I was being a victim of my reality, of my circumstances. And because Ankush was kind of coaching me on what he was coaching me on, it enabled me to see that I had a choice to react to my external environment. I was choosing to view it all negatively. And I just had this kind of like, I don't know, like it was, for me, it was very much like someone was shining a torch down a very, very long and dark alleyway. Like they were on the main road and I had gone totally and utterly down this dark alleyway with no lights. And it was literally like someone was shining a torch. So it wasn't literally like, oh, you're not depressed anymore. No, that wasn't how it worked for me. It was kind of it wasn't a very slow process, and I really can't remember how long it took. But I kind of just remember focusing more on hope than on the negativity, and focusing on the positive and that hope enabled me. I guess it was like Bruce Wayne when he was a kid, someone throwing him the rope down the well, and him climbing up it. So that was like that. And anxiety, I will have to say, it went and then it came back at the start of last year. Well, it was anxiety and it was stress at the start of last year, before the pandemic started, I would say, with work and things like that. And there were certain things I did, like there were certain like I wouldn't say, they weren't techniques, but the systems. Like I talked to my manager, and we reduced my workload and things like that. But my mentor likes saying, reduce, make your world smaller, make it world smaller. Basically, like just try and minimize what you need to do just to kind of like to like relax and whatever. But I did have a lot of struggle with that, and then I started reading the news and BBC around the statistics and everything, and I happened to get a cold or a sore throat at the same time. So yeah, I thought I had the coronavirus. But my coach banned me. Coaches generally don't tell you what to do, but this time he told me to stay away from the BBC news and stop reading everything, because that was making it worse. And actually those kind of things, they did help. But what really helped me with the anxiety and the stress was kind of when you kind of start to get the feeling. Like for stress, it's kind of like a rush, kind of like feeling. Anxiety, maybe for me, it was kind of like kind of thing. When I feel that, I would literally stop what I was doing if I could, and kind of just like go and lay on my sofa and not fight it, not fight the feeling, not fight the feeling of the stress, not fighting the thoughts or anything. Kind of just trying to basically take my hands off the steering wheel, and that allowed me to kind of like take a step back and calm down and whatnot. And it gradually, over a period, I will admit it was months, but and I did do other personal development stuff at the same time, like watching videos. And again, I fell in love with a girl very quickly, and I got needy again, and she again got bored of me, and that was for me. That was like, I would say the last year for me has been the biggest transformation in my life. Even coming out of depression, I am so different to who I was a year ago. It's just insane. And yeah, so the anxiety, it did come back, but it kind of gradually went as I saw where it was coming from, to a deeper and deeper degree, like and the stress. And so for me, I just saw that I was just thinking too much about things. It sounds really simple, but literally, I would get up, and for a simple example, like I would get up and maybe I'd be like 50. And this is the funny thing, like we don't have necessarily set work times for civil service. We kind of have core hours, but we don't have set times. So I set my own time starting at about 8 or something. And if I was like 15 minutes late, I would start going, oh, I'm late. But then that would get faster, and that get faster. And then I would think a lot, and I would think, oh, I'm behind. I need to catch up. But I soon kind of started to realize that, I don't have to get on that thought train. Like, I don't have to buy into that thinking, and I don't have to get on the thought train. And there are times, obviously, when I do get on the thought train, I do get lost. But they're a lot less common, and they don't last as long as they used to. I'm not 100% not saying that I won't fall into depression or anxiety again in the future. It could happen. But at the moment, as of today, I am not stressed. I'm not anxious. I didn't sleep very well. Occasionally it happens still because of the gut issues. But yeah, I guess I'm probably the happiest I've been since maybe I was like sub 10 years old. Yeah, so that's a very, very long answer. Good. And yeah, I just remembered the funny thing about the Steve Chandler thing, actually. I actually, at Kush's wedding, I actually sat on his table. I sat on his table not knowing who he was.
Steve?
Because I got put onto another table with these other guests right at the back. And I didn't know who they were. And Arthur and Hogney were on this other table near the front. And they had a spare seat. So I was like, I said, I made my apologies to the other people, and I said, I'm sorry, but I'm going. So I went and sat on this table, and he was sitting on the same table, and I didn't know who he was.
No,
I had no idea at all
amazing.
Who this guy was. And yeah, he helped change my life, and he continues to help change my life because his stuff is brilliant.
I think for this episode, especially, we're probably going to have to add some links to this episode, because there are a lot of great resources and great people that you're mentioning. And we don't really have time to dig in deep into it, but we've got Ankush, obviously, this very powerful coach. Even Ravi, who we saw earlier coming on and saying hi, he's a coach himself. Steve Chandler, the godfather of coaches, and Sydney Banks, 3P. So there are several people that I feel like I would love to kind of link to this show, because because anyone watching this right now, I hope and I kind of sense that you're standing in the dark tunnel with that torch and kind of showing there is a way out, there is something out there. And the resources that you've now mentioned, I think, are some really, really powerful ones.
Yeah. And sorry, go on.
You go.
No, I was just going to say, I can totally, I've probably got around 200 to 300 resources. I mean, some of them are books and names of books and videos and things, but, I can for sure provide a number of links or whatever. I probably won't provide all of them because that did take me a long time to go through. But yeah, there's definitely a few that I can link, and if people want more specific stuff, then for sure you can contact me and yeah, I'll provide stuff.
Oh, that's very nice of you, and I think that's very useful as well. There is one question. Now, this might be a big one, and it could easily be the next episode, but but I still kind of want to ask it. It was something you said about, around your family. So it's not about, but it's just like in general. What could have been done while you were going through this in your younger years? And even up until like 5 years ago, what could have been done? Is there something someone could have done, asked you, said to you, that would have helped maybe speed this up or caught it earlier? And I'm not saying, caught it earlier sounds like, there was an illness or something going on, but, offered more support earlier.
For me, in my situation, no, I don't think so. I think there's nothing. People, I mean, like I don't look back. Like, well, I look back and say, actually, I'm really 100% glad I went through everything. I went through 110% glad and happy. I went through everything I went through, which is not usual for someone to say that, who said that they thought about killing themselves. But no, I think, I mean, for me, no, in my situation, no, I just think, it was what it was, and I was such a good actor. I was such a good actor because I wanted to be the spook and everything, and I was very good at lying and very good at projecting a different image, and I did spend a lot of time in my room playing computer games, which I'm not saying is indicative of anything, but that's what I did. So I can actually totally understand, like when people kind of get like groomed as well for young, because I could have been, but luckily I started talking to some Dutch people, nice Dutch people instead. I was very lucky. But I think for me going forwards, if I do have a family and have kids, which I do hope I do, then what I would or how I would approach it now with the awareness and consciousness I've got of the situation, and because of what I do, I would just try to love everyone. I would just try to love my kids. Like I know I don't have kids at the moment. I know it can be very difficult, trust me. And I'm totally not comparing cats to kids, but I am. Sometimes they can be very difficult and trying. I know, I fully understand that. But I would just try, to kind of love them for who they are. Don't change them. I would honestly, I'm a very big believer in setting the example, and this is one of the reasons why I'm on the show today. Setting an example of sharing and being open and being I don't have a problem with sharing my past at all. Like obviously I'm doing an interview in public, I haven't got a problem with that. I know people do, and I would have done in the past, totally 100%. Even a month ago with my childhood, I probably wouldn't have talked about it, but now I like setting the example. So like if for me with my kids, if I did have them, then I would just try to set the example. I would say, like try and be open, and just try to be open and honest. I think communication is I'm really big on communication, not just in life in general, but like in relationships and just anywhere. So I think for me that is a big one. Just kind of, and it's very ingrained in men. It's very ingrained in men, and especially British. Obviously, I don't have an experience of being a foreign national. I can just give my British person's experience. But we have very much kind of like island, keep calm, carry on kind of thing. And that kind of breeds, just not talking, not sharing. So I would for sure do that with if I had kids, just share. And if you do kind of notice some changes or something like that, like I know teenagers apparently can be quite moody. Obviously, I was not. But it's, if you notice kind of changes, then maybe that's so I kind of just try and ask them, what's going on, and just talk to them, love them, don't try to change them. No one likes to be changed. Like if someone tries to change me or give advice to me, I'm just like, that's gonna happen. Like, the ego. I call it the ego barrier. Goes. People just don't like to be told what to do. Or maybe it's just me, or maybe it's a British thing again. But like,
well, in that case, I share that completely. The more someone tells me what to do, the less I'll do it. I'll probably end up doing the exact opposite, just to spite them.
Yeah, totally. Like I am stubborn / determined, and if people told me, I mean, like I'm thinking of an example actually last year, and I did tell you this. That I didn't really want to talk about it, but I will talk about it because the girl that I fell in love with last year, a lot, especially guys like giving advice, and they are doing. I know they're doing it to help, but because I've done so much self-development and stuff, I'm kind of like, I've tried all that stuff that you're giving me advice on, and it does not work. For me, I will say, I just can't. At the end of the day, I kind of just said that I'm not interested anymore, and I don't generally mention it because I don't want the advice that people, even though they're trying to give it from love and care and help, I just like ego barrier just comes up, and I'm not interested. So that's why I, just try to be kind, try to love. Be more caring, be open and honest, and set the. I mean, the big one is for me, just set the example. If try and just be open and share and like, I mean, coming onto this interview, I was a bit nervous, but like, so doesn't, I didn't do anything about it. So just kind of being like honest like that with like with I would be with my family. I'd just say, look, I was scared of, or I was nervous of going to an interview. But that's okay because I know that I don't have to do anything about that. I can just continue anyway.
That's powerful. I think that is a great answer. I mean, you said it. You summarized it all in a very, very good way. I think. I mean, it's extremely hard to know anyone else's experience and the right way to deal with it. But based on what you shared around your own experience, I think there is so much in what you said, and I think it's very, at least I felt it. It's available, like all the things you shared, they're available. Like I have them. I have those resources, and I can be there for someone, loving them, caring for them, allowing them to be themselves. I don't have to do much else. I can do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I will say that I have spent a lot of money on personal development. I have spent a lot of money and a lot of time. Obviously, I've done 3,500 hours on myself. But there are a lot of free resources. There's so many, and all the ones that I would provide to people are free. YouTube or particular people's websites or books. I mean, they're not free, but they're not expensive books. They're like maybe £8, maybe. So all of the stuff that I have consumed is a good word, isn't it? So is you can get it for free if you know what you're looking for and where to look for. Because I didn't know. Well, I wasn't actually looking, to be honest. I will say that. I was just really kind of like inwards, but there's so many good resources that are free or cheap that are just available. And again, I can for sure give references to some of them in the links or whatever.
So before I ask you the final, my last question, you mentioned it again. If someone would like to get their hands on a couple of personalized references to resources, and if they want to connect with you, and maybe they'll have more questions or just want to hang around you, because I'm going to second that one of the best qualities about you, Stu, is your humor. I mean, we're in the same Facebook groups and stuff like that, and you're always cracking me up because there's always something going on. The play with words and puns and everything. It's just it's nice to be connected with you. I have to say
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I do apologize. That's the worst one I've done for a long time.
Oh my God, I set you up for that one. That's good. There you go.
I'll say that is a German Arthur joke. Sorry for the people who don't know these people. It's
cool.
Yeah, I do like my fun. I do like my fun.
Yeah, and you spread that well. So where can people connect with you? Where would you like people to reach out and connect?
Lao Stew, like a play on words, Lao Stew, because of Lao Tzu. So that's kind of obviously that's my Instagram account, and please follow me. And my Facebook is Stuart Rawlins. It's Stuart Rawlins. I think that I did provide a link, but a direct link, but it is literally just Stuart Rawlins, and it is a picture of me, obviously, with a bit of this background. I don't think there's that many Stuart Rawlins out there, although there is actually an Australian coach by the exact same name.
Really?
And which I find funny. I haven't actually contacted him yet, but maybe I should. But I do have a LinkedIn account as well, but that's private. Comes up.
There we go.
got it all figured.
Yeah.
But that's kind of more my. I mean, I could do posts on there and stuff like that, and you can obviously 100% message me and follow me or friend me on that. But that's kind of I would say predominantly my Facebook and my Instagram is probably the best place to give me a.
We did get Sarah. She mentioned the fact that she would definitely want to get her hands on those resources. So, I mean, it's obviously, as you said, there are probably 300 plus resources, and you probably can't get them all. But you do have certain things that you would love to give people. I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Anxiety. I've got. I mean, there's books and things. That I could for sure provide.
Good.
Or a link. I won't say I will buy them.
No.
Gotta be careful.
Precisely. You just simply link to them, or at least point in their direction. And as I said earlier as well, there are other things mentioned in this show that I definitely want to make sure that we reference out and make sure people can get explore further. So. This is the typical question I kind of tend to ask towards the end. And especially, I think today is just such a wonderful episode because because of the journey you've shared with us and also the journey you're on and where you are today. You're saying, like, I actually enjoy myself. I love who I am. So, if you had the microphone to the world and the whole population of the planet Earth were listening to you, what would you say? What's the message or the takeaway that you would like people to get from you or from their time on this planet?
It's a really interesting one, but I think predominantly one of the reasons why I did this was to kind of show that you can go from walking across the street not really caring whether a car is coming to being really, really happy and being mentally free, and I'm not just talking about not being depressed, not being anxious, not having OCD and stuff like that, but I mean just like loving life. Like a lot of the days I like dance around my kitchen to music. Like, I mean that's me. Like, but that just shows such a massive change in 5 years, I think my message is that there is hope. If I'm talking to myself of maybe 6 years ago or whatever, I would say, look, there is hope. It's not all negative and dark and whatever. And there are people who really do care. And for me, I mean, like my mum really cares, my sister really cares, my dad really cares, but I didn't see that because I was so insular, so kind of like guarded everything. But I would say there are people who care for you, even if you are on your own, and it might not seem like there are people around you, and even people on the internet. There are loads of groups of people who I'm now a member of, also, and I can for sure I can give like references to those. But there's so many caring people out there. They might be strangers, but people do care. Like I'm one, I care. So yeah, message me. That's what I would really like to say. People do care. It's fair. I mean, especially in British culture, where I live in the southeast, near London, and people are quite guarded and eyes down, and yeah, people do care. People really do care, and there really is hope, even if it seems literally like there is none. So that is kind of my message. Yeah, that really was kind of like what I wanted to say.
It's beautiful. I think it's perfect. And as you said, message me. I care. I think that's it. It's such an important message to share.
Oh yeah. And I'm not just saying that. I do care.
No,
I do care. Like for anyone.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely wonderful. I can't stop. So, would you say that was always the case, though? Like that you cared for others, or is that something you've grown over time?
Yeah, that's a story, isn't it? It's because of my upbringing. I wouldn't say my upbringing. There's no fault at all, and I want to really stress that there's no fault. I see everyone is innocent. I was very insular. Like I did want to be the spook, so that's kind of like what a spook, like quiet, insular, like, and like I'm not actually joking. I was actually like genuinely I wanted to be a spook, and because of like, I mean, I was alone for 2 years. Like I had maybe had a friend outside, and obviously I had my parents, but like I was alone for 2 years. So obviously, if you're alone for 2 years with like no friends or anything, and I was alone for longer than that, but physically, you're going to be very insular. Like I was very insular. Like it's not that I didn't care for other people. It's just that I was, I guess, selfish. Like, or it wasn't selfish, deliberate. It was kind of just through, I guess, well, necessity. Say that word properly. It was just like that's how I grew up, and my behavior, on the beliefs, kind of like eked out. No, it's something that is kind of, again, I realized this actually quite recently, and it's something that I'm kind of working on over the last year, particularly because of the relationship thing and the women. I see that I can just look at myself a lot and not take into consideration other people, and that's maybe why I got in trouble a year ago. Maybe I'm laughing. It is, and the neediness.
It is.
It is, and the neediness. Actually, predominantly it was the neediness, but the lack of kind of like thought also, I kind of kicks me in the bum. But yeah, so I know it is something that I will have to keep kind of like looking at, not working at necessarily, because I don't like necessarily the word. I don't like the name work. No, the word work. I do. It's just I don't, with personal development. I think even though I have done a lot of work, and some of it was hard, but like I don't like professing it is really difficult. Like it doesn't have to be really difficult. It can be quite simple, not easy, but quite simple. There is a difference for me, and I'm totally lost my train of thought, but I'm gathering it slowly. But yeah, no, it's in relationships for sure. Like if I I'm still in love with this girl, so it's still going. But like, and she's in Brazil, so it's a bit of an issue. But I always like to do things the hard way. I have this story going on. I like to do things the hard way. But if I get into a relationship, touch wood again in the future, then I know, and I will be 100% honest and say, look, this is my past. I know I can be a bit insular. And not necessarily take other people's opinions or whatever into consideration. I do apologize. I am trying my best, I'll be honest and say, look, pick me up on it. I'm 100% open for that feedback, because I don't take it personally, mostly. 50% of the time, no, just mostly I don't. So yeah, it's something I have to be kind of just aware of. Like, I don't have to like do too much. Just be, as soon as it comes into my kind of awareness, it kind of like, I don't know, starts to kind of diffuse, and I start to kind of see things. So yeah, so no, I mean, like I did care about other people, but I just was very insular, so it was difficult to me to kind of consider other people.
That's good. I mean, you said something in the very beginning is almost like when you were talking about going away to university, like you wanted to become who you were or who you are almost. So it's almost that this whole story, this whole journey is you becoming you. Not who you think you should be or need to be, but actually just being you.
Yeah.
It's almost like that as well. Like the care is always there. It's just not when things are maybe out of balance. It's less present, so it's there. It just that, and that's the journey you're on.
Yeah, totally agree. And
cultivate and grow that.
Yeah, and kind of very just in case we need to end soon, but it's just that it reminded me of the story of the Golden Buddha. I don't know whether you've heard it. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing. I can send a link. I can send a link to the video. It's on YouTube.
Please do, That's a great one.
It reminds me of that. And actually, it's funny because I've still got a Golden Buddha that my mum gave me years and years ago, which I actually got out deliberately, which I love. It's on my windowsill. But we are all that Golden Buddha underneath. It's just that we have a lot of mud over from when we were born up until the present time. Covering that Golden Buddha. So for me, it's very much chipping away at the mud to reveal like the Golden Buddha who is beneath that and who is always there. I've always been here. I've always been in my body, obviously, but it's just been covered by beliefs and conditioning and thoughts about myself, which are not true. And the more I see through those, then the more the Golden Buddha comes out.
There we go. There you go. That's perfect. Yes. Again, send that link through. We'll add that link to the rest of them. Well, guys, this is a beautiful conversation, and obviously, if you want to keep talking about the Golden Buddha in all of us, what's really there, that it's all this journey about becoming who we are. I really want to say that, like, just connect with Stu. It's a beautiful person to have in your vicinity. Online networking is such a nice thing to do today. I mean, because we met once and we stayed in touch over the years since. I think it's just a beautiful thing. So for anyone who's looking to connect, to feel less alone, and maybe get some support along the way, it's a nice way to do it. Well, Stuart, thank you extremely for coming on today and sharing so openly and honestly. I really admire it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so open. I don't know, I'm just so open with everything because I don't have a problem with any of it. And yes, I don't think that is a common thing.
Yeah. No, I can tell. I mean, it's clear that you've done that work on yourself, with yourself. It clearly is shifting things for you, and it's an amazing journey.
And it continues.
Yes, that's exactly it. Well, thank you very much, Stuart. It was really nice having you on. I think you and I said that perhaps there could be a follow-up episode to this because, hey, there is so much more that we can talk about. Just to preface it a bit, or kind of cliffhanger. We got Sydney Banks, we got the 3P, we got the understanding and the groundedness that you now have access to. I think personally would be an amazing conversation to have with the audience. So I think that's something that we should definitely come back for.
Yeah, I'm totally up for talking as long as you want me to, Adam. Yeah, my mum's half Scouse, so I can talk. That's a British joke, but like I can talk for anywhere.
Good. All right, Stuart. Well, thank you very much for joining, and we will be having you back on this show, I'm sure.
Cheers.
All right. Be well.
You.
So, oh my God, let me move back a bit because I've got this thing just under my chin. Oh my God, this was such an amazing episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I thoroughly did. I think it was a beautiful conversation with Stuart. I think there were some really powerful questions asked by you watching live. And for anyone catching this replay, please reach out to me, reach out to Stuart, connect with us if you want to keep this conversation going. There should be, below this video, there should be links linking out to some of these resources that we talked about as well. And I do want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to thank you for catching it live. I want to thank you for catching the replay. If you're watching on YouTube right now, please like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so that every time we go live or put content out, you get notified about that. And of course, if you're on Facebook, please make sure that you're following my Facebook page, Adam Kowalek, Business Mindset Coach. That way, again, you're going to get notified and get the latest. Okay, so enjoy the rest of the evening. See you next week, same time, same place.